I wanted to keep talking about information architecture in principle, but let's explore a little of what you can do outside the app or website and how to link it so you don't rely on people tapping your icon or searching for you. Let's start with an example. Lyft is what I prefer to use over Uber because they're a little bit less evil. It's an app. It uses location so you can link the real world to you through your mobile. You get to call a car to where you are without typing or anything. A few button pushes and you're watching a guy in a car drive to you. But it also sends SMS messages to remind you. Not application notifications, but text messages, because that is absolutely reliable, with most delivered within 7 seconds. And people receive text messages on average within 5 seconds. Apps that are successful cannot be about themselves, but about the real messy world you and your people live in. Lyft and all the car services, as well as other things like Airbnb, tie real-world services to you through the mobile device and use intrinsic features about it to do this: location and messaging. When you get to drawing IA diagrams, don't forget these outside services or technologies. Many Internet of Things devices I have used are, well, unusable. I have several smartwatches that never leave the top of my dresser because they're so poorly integrated with the app on the phone, and the app is so poorly integrated with any other parts of my phone or life. At the data model level, I find lots of developers missing out on doing deliberate design and assuming things that may not be the best choice. This diagram, for example, describes an integrated system with syncing to remote servers and using the capabilities each device type has properly and as much as we can. Remember this when designing services. Remember user context. And remember you're always designing services, not apps or websites. When you get out in the world and design your next product, remember to think of this step in the process as an extension of the previous drawings you did. For this example, the user is shown walking down the streets of Nairobi, and it's not all in an app. The first screen is SMS, then he goes to the website where he's enticed to download the app, though not required. You can show flows and interactions and user context, both to yourself to understand it, and to communicate it to clients and developers early in the process, so everyone knows what they're getting into and about to build. Text messaging, as you might have noticed, is one of my favorite things. It's highly universal. Almost every phone on the planet can send and receive them. It's impossibly reliable. Even places where you can't make a phone call, you can get SMS. I've used it as a backup method to assure that people took their pills, for example. When the app went down, it didn't send a message back to the server, and we sent out a text message reminder because we knew it had failed. And that's what I love about SMS. It's universal, server-side push messaging. If you absolutely need notifications, you don't need an app, necessarily, but can just send text messages. What do you send? Almost anything you want. You can stuff a link in there, launch websites, applications, reset passwords, and generally use it to link up your service to more robust presentation layers. You can even make it interactive and let it send dynamic data to your users on request. This is something you can use to wait in line at the DMV without actually being there. I've designed systems for banks where you can see your account info, transfer money, and more. Yes, all through SMS. But let's get back to shiny pretty stuff. Take something dirt simple like Yahoo Weather app. They make this available as a freestanding app so you don't need to download some giant bloated Yahoo app to end all apps, which of course no one would get. You just get this one little bit. But a funny thing happens when you click the menu. You see, under some of the typical menu items for the app itself, like authentication, which for some reason I haven't done here, there's a list of all the other Yahoo apps. They don't all have this, but it's their goal. I actually talked to a senior Yahoo guy and asked about it, so I have the inside story here. It's very on purpose. You click something like Flickr, which I use all the time, so great, because what happens? You go to the Play Store, the website. No, they use something called custom URIs, and since I have Flickr installed, I can go straight to the other app. There is one giant Yahoo to rule them all app. It's just delivered in little bits and pieces. They do this with a little snippet of code called a custom URI. Remember how I said one of the key advantages of the web over apps is that it's on the internet? You can link to it directly? Well, you can sort of link to apps also. This is a great reason you need to have a website supporting your app, or better yet, doing most of its functionality. When the app isn't installed, the URL string goes to your browser, then to a website. No problem. But when the app is installed, it tells the OS to watch out for web addresses for you, then it sends it straight over to that app when found. This is neat as hell to me, and a way to make your service look like magic, cheaply and simply. Okay, when I started talking about SMS, I even mentioned it's a poor man's app notification. So you've been waiting for me to talk about them. First, I have to say the name push isn't very helpful, so stop calling them push notifications. SMS and many other things are also push services, and you can set up web services without polling anymore also. But let's say app notifications are very interesting tools. They make noise. They can make the LED blink, and you can even pick the color and the sound it makes. They appear as individual icons for your app on the enunciator row. They can even do stuff like show status, that I have a Pebble connected, that GPS tracking is on, the outside temperature at my house. And more details are just a tap away. But what details? Well, your app icon appears here, like I said, so this is a good example of why you need to make sure you have a good icon. It's the only way for users to tell what fired the notification sometimes. Make sure the message is clear and to the point. Give them the info they need and nothing more. And I love the principle of putting extra functions into your notification. Tapping the whole thing opens the app, but additional buttons allow you to do specific actions, like jump from map view to start navigating immediately. Worried about bugging people with too many notifications? Go ahead and be worried, but don't not do them. Aside from lots of other tactics specific to your content and your user's needs, I like to put a button that lets the user cancel for their notifications, or here, temporarily cancel, with just one click. It's one thing to have a setting for something buried down in your app, but it's another to offer true user control. Of course, Android lets you do that pretty freely, while Apple can't decide if they want you to do it or not. pCalc was featured as an awesome app by Apple, then banned, then unbanned. Drafts, the one at the bottom here, is still, as of December 2014, banned for the same reason, because it puts buttons in the notification center. I assume this will come back as Apple figures out the value of it, but be careful what you do with notifications in some OSs for a little while. There's nothing quite like a push notification on the desktop. That's one of those things that makes mobile better than traditional computers to me, and not limited, but natural and powerful. We all know about the sensors devices have, and they get some press along the same lines. This is stuff your computer doesn't do. So, on your computer, when you want to share an image, you go to the tool you want to share with. Launch Twitter, or go to mail.google.com, then attach the file. But on mobiles, you go find the picture and just press the little share icon. And it loads an intent. Your apps, or within limits, websites, can just say, I would like to share this. And the OS itself offers up apps that can handle it. That may sound suspiciously similar to the way OS monitors for custom URIs, and that's because it is. This works for lots of tools. Assume you're building an app that, like Twitter, allows you to attach images. You can, build in integrated camera controls. But do you need to? I say, why bother? Just add an image intent. And it pops up a function to select photos or take a new one. There's no learning curve, and massively less for you to actually build and test. These tools are well designed to support these alternate use cases. Notice the X in the corner here to abandon the task? Or the check mark? You can retake, abandon, or approve this for inclusion. Not as part of Twitter, but of the camera app itself. When done with an intent like this, it generally takes the user back to the parent app when done, so there's no worries about leaving your app. Lots of tools do this well. I like to talk about email forms. They're great on your website, but for mobile web apps, that's just wrong. You link to installed applications because that's the expectation and the method of operation for mobiles. For email, when the user clicks to send feedback, they get their native email client, or a choice of them, pre-populated with whatever information you want to load. They can use their device the same way they do any other time. Don't forget our phones are full of sensors, functions, tools, and applications. Use them. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. UX is not UI. Think about how you can link up your entire experience, how you can use other channels to help the user, and how you can leverage existing device features and capabilities to make your app or website behave seamlessly. Next, we'll start to talk about the relationship between IA and navigation, and how the structural decisions you make impact the design of your mobile application or website.